Good day, everyone. It is my privilege to read to you the message prepared by our university president. Colleagues, faculty members, non-teaching staff, and students of the university. As we come together to observe Wellness Month this October, it is important to remember the significance of this occasion. The world recognizes October 10th as Mental Health Day, a day dedicated to raising awareness of mental health issues globally. The theme for this year's celebration, Mental Health is a Universal Human Right, emphasizes the essential need for quality mental health care and the respect for the human rights and well-being of individuals with mental illness worldwide. This theme highlights the right to protection from known harms to mental health, the right to access affordable and quality care when facing mental health challenges, and the fundamental right to freedom and dignity, including the right of choice. With the ongoing challenges, including the impact of COVID-19, the mental health of our USEP community remains a priority. Our beloved university, through the University Assessment and Guidance Center, in coordination with the Office of Student Affairs and Services, the Human Resource Management Division, and the Health Services Division, is steadfast in its commitment to promoting mental health and well-being. As we navigate these complex times, let us remember the proverb, "A healthy mind is a healthy body." Our mental well-being is interconnected with our physical health, and by prioritizing the mental health, we pave the way for a healthier and more resilient community. Let us use this Wellness Month to support one another, raise awareness, and reaffirm our commitment to ensuring that mental health is indeed a universal human right. Together, we can create a more compassionate and inclusive environment where everyone can thrive. Thank you for your participation in this important observance, and may we all do our share in promoting a healthy mind. God bless everyone.
On a new adventure.
Welcome to Podcast Talk for Personnel as part of USEP Wellness Month 2023. Today we're talking about mental health with Dr. Gina R. Lamzon, a registered guidance counselor, teacher, and psychometrician, and former president of the Davao Association of Guidance Counselors, Davao Chapter, and former coordinator of the Mental Health Psychosocial Support Special Interest Group of the Psychological Association of the Philippines. She is a member of the Philippine Guidance and Counseling Association, the Association for Comprehensive Energy Psychology, and the EFT International. Her main interests are energy psychology, yoga, mindfulness, and other body-mind practices. She specializes in emotional freedom techniques and is a clinical FT-certified practitioner. Currently, she is an associate professor of the psychology program of the Ateneo de Davao University. Apart from teaching, she conducts lectures and workshops on a range of topics like mental health, wellness, stress resilience, psychological first aid, bullying, parenting, retirement readiness, and team building, among others. She also directs psycho-spiritual retreats and continues to engage in counseling and consulting services at the Davao Socio-Behavioral Research Services and the Body, Mind, Spirit, Sync Health and Wellness Consultancy Services.
On a new adventure.
Now it's time to welcome our guest speaker, Dr. Gina R. Lamzon.
Hello, everyone. Let me present to you a topic which all of us can relate because we all belong to a family. And maybe some of us are parents. And why is this relevant? Why is it important to talk about parenting, family dynamics, and mental health? Because there is no subject in parenting when we were students. But most of us, most people would like to become parents and biological parents at that. And it's easier to become biological parents, but to really parent, even if you are not a biological parent, is really something as well. So parenting then is when you are giving yourself, showing care, providing for children, whether they are biologically connected to you or not. So as a parent, how are you today? Or as an individual, how are you today? And how do you feel most of the time? In other words, what's your energetic vibratory signature? You have this signature emotion. Emotions are energy in motion. And we can experience a range of emotions from time to time. And most of these emotions are influenced by our environment, like people in our lives. And when we are affected by our external environment, that can be disempowering. So what is parenting then? Why do we have to learn it this way? Or why do we have to learn it by asking around? Because like I said, there is no subject in parenting. We don't have a degree for this, but we love to become parents. And as they say, it is the most difficult career. Parenting is the most difficult career because you don't just balance, you don't just have these balance sheets or whatever, but we have people and we are actually molding people for the next generation. And that's a tough job, right? So how are you feeling most of the time? We can vacillate from feeling okay to feeling not okay. So we can be on the extremes or we can just be neutral. And if you notice the colors of this emotion meter, and if you're in the red zone, we associate it with it's a critical zone. It's color red. But sometimes you can be in the orange or yellow on the verge of exploding. But know that whatever emotions that we are feeling, we can always be in the not red, but in the green zone, which is our home court, so to speak. And when we are in the green zone, we feel okay, we feel calm, we feel relaxed, and we just accept things as they are. Okay. So know that whenever we feel red, we can always choose to go back to the green zone. So what's your default default? It's a default. It's your vibratory signature. Because vibrations, are you in the good vibe or bad vibe? So how are you today? So hopefully you are emitting good vibrations. You are feeling good vibrations. Look at these scenarios at home, in our families. These are quite common nowadays, especially if you have teenagers or young people in the house. It can be fun. It can also be challenging. Okay. And what's the common scenario? How's the family atmosphere? How's the family dynamics? Is it stressful or peaceful or somewhere in between? So now again, we can be in the red zone, and the orange, yellow, or the green zone. And hope we can learn how to always go back to the home court, which is our relaxed state, calm state. So these are challenging situations, and it can really be very frustrating, these images. And added to this is we are householders. We have job to do. There are expectations from us as parents, as workers, as volunteers. We have to perform, we have to produce, we have to do something. And what about our time for the self? Sometimes we put it on the side because we have to take care of people in our lives. We have to take care of our work. But what about ourselves? Okay. So make sure that on in your 24 hours, you still have time for yourself. Because if you don't have time for ourselves, that's really when we get overwhelmed, frustrated. And that is, after that, you can get burned out. Okay. So burnout just starts with stress, or even if the stress is chronic, the situation is always like this, day in and day out, it may not just be stress. It may already be something else. And when you already have these feelings of disconnection, and you don't, you are not able to sleep anymore, or your sleep is interrupted and your eating habits are already affected. So do a self check from time to time. Am I connected or disconnected? Because when we are disconnected, we can feel alone, or we can feel like this is not me anymore. And there is this feeling of, I can't handle this anymore. So disconnection or separation is really something that we have to be mindful of, because it can lead to physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual diseases, according to Sharon Well. Separation or disconnection creates isolation, and isolation is a source of most physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual diseases. And that can translate into mental health problems and all sorts of problems, not just mental health. And what are the early warning signs of deteriorating mental health, according to this poster? Easy Care Clinic, courtesy of Easy Care Clinic. Feeling sad. From time to time, we may feel sad, but what we are talking here is chronic sadness, reduced ability to concentrate, extreme feelings of guilt, and mood swings. And there is already withdrawal from friends and family. You used to be so engaged, so bubbly, and now you don't want to socialize anymore. And you used to enjoy going out with friends and doing your hobbies, for example, or your favorite pastime. But now you don't, you just want to do nothing at all. So it may really be a red flag. What are the other red flags aside from those? Substance abuse, be it alcohol or prescription drugs, ideas of suicide, multiple physical ailments without obvious causes. So when you go to the doctor, nothing is wrong with you. So it's psychosomatic. It's all because the problem is psychological. What else? Frequent temper tantrums, aggression, or harm to self or others. One can already engage in self-injurious behavior. What else? I think one of the most common that I have observed is when our sleeping patterns are disrupted. We may find it difficult to sleep or to stay really, even if we fall asleep and after an hour or so, our sleep is interrupted and we find it difficult to go back to sleep. That's a red flag. What else? And apart from sleep, eating habits. We eat because of stress. We eat because we are not actually physically hungry, but emotionally hungry. And when it has something to do with emotional hunger, it's just like we crave for a particular food and we get frustrated when we can't have that. So it may already be stress eating, emotional eating. So it may not just be a simple problem there. So it's a red flag. And any drastic change in personality. So aggressiveness and excess anger that are out of proportion. And this can really indicate a deeper psychological problem. And according to research, the mental health of children and parents are strongly connected, because there is such a thing as emotional contagion, social contagion. So whenever a family member is not feeling well, the other family members can also sense that. And even if we are not aware of what the other person is really going through, we can sense it. There is this heaviness, and there is this something is just off. Something is just off. So we don't take it for granted. Yes, it's a red flag. So when we are stressed, do we respond or react? Responding is we chose what to do with this situation, even if it's so challenging. But when we react, the word react itself, it's the same action which we used previously. And even if it was not working, we are still doing the same action, reaction, reacting. So even if our strategies are not working, example, a very specific example is nagging. Even if nagging does not work, we still continue to nag, to shout, to name call, even if they are not effective. So what's the feedback? Reaction doesn't solve a thing. Responding does. Okay. When we respond, we are aware that my strategies before did not work. So I change strategy and see what works. It's just like experimenting what works. And when we experiment, we are conscious. The actions, our next steps are well thought of. Okay. And that is how we improve. We don't just nag right away, but we sit down and really listen, engage, communicate. And when children are showing or externalizing their behavior, and from our perspective, we don't like it, and it is when they don't actually know how to express their emotions, and they show their emotions, their frustrations through misbehavior, and know that children who misbehave are the ones who need the most love, and they just show it in the way that they know how, because they just want to get our attention, even if they get it in a not socially acceptable way. Okay. The message is when they are furious, super angry, they want to feel safe. When they are mad, a milder form of furious, I need to take a break and use calming strategies. So give them space. Hold the space for them. Give them time. When they are worried or anxious, the message is, I need to stop and breathe. And I can also use a sensory strategy to relax. But when they are happy, that means that they are okay. They feel good. And when they feel good, we also feel good. When they are sad or tired, the message is, I can ask for help, a hug, or a break. And these are the same needs that we have. So emotions are energy in motion. Unpleasant, unwanted, negative emotions are supposed to move out, just like pleasant emotions. But there are pleasant emotions that we want to stay with us. And that can be, if we consciously choose this feel good emotions, they can be our vibratory signature, emotional signature. So this emotions, what are emotions? First of all, they are information. And because they're information, we step back and ask, what is the message of this particular emotion? And emotions have physiological reactions in the body, and it shows in our behavior. And we interpret these emotions as a particular feeling. And emotions vary in intensity. And even if the situation may be similar, but the emotions that we experience are different, because we have different appraisals about what the situations are in any given moment. So we can generalize that just because that person is angry because of the situation, I also have to be angry. It really depends on how we look at the situation. Okay. So let me just go back to this slide. Instead, when people, again, when children, when others misbehave, they don't seem to listen. It's because they don't feel being listened to. And it is when we keep on nagging. we keep on nagging. So it helps to remind us that we have two ears and one mouth so that we can speak or we can listen twice as much as we could speak. Okay. So it's all about listening. It's all about communicating effectively. If we are to establish a relationship, relationships are built on communication. Without communication, there is no relationship. And according to this poster, there's no author here, two things can destroy any relationship: unrealistic expectations and poor communication. And at home, sometimes or many times, our expectations are just assumed. We don't actually verbalize what we expect from our children, what we expect from each other. And that is creating the problem because we just expect, we just assume. So the lesson is express what you need, express what you expect so that there are no false expectations. Because when we expect, we set ourselves up for frustration. Okay. But whenever we correct others, whenever we correct our children, it's best to connect first. We can't just nag because people don't listen to nagging. We don't want to be nagged at either, right? So connect before you correct. And what's the best way to connect? It is really when we are able to sit down and listen. So if you want to be listened to, be a role model to children because our modeling really matters. And how do we model? Through our loving, connecting presence. So connection is not just through words, but really through our presence. And when we are talking to them, we communicate to them that they matter. That means that we establish eye contact, we sit down and we really go down to their level, especially with small children. How do we talk to them or with our teenagers? It is when we sit down together so that we can have an eye-to-eye level. Okay. So the best way to connect is through active listening. That means listening with the third eye. And where is our third ear? I mean, where is our third ear? It's our hearts. Because when we just listen through our ears here, we can just be listening through our head. And our head just loves to problematize, to criticize, and to judge. And it's not the best place to be in. So to be able, and that really creates separation and division. But it is when we connect through the heart that there is this instant connection. There is this feeling so that this person understands me. This person is just a breath of fresh air. So without us even talking, and it is when we just sit quietly and connect through the heart. Okay? There is that instant connection. Okay? But our tendency is really to nag. And Rumi reminds us not to raise our words. And he said, raise your words, not your voice. It is rain that grows flowers, not thunder. So meaning, whatever you want to communicate, make a statement by really meaning it. Okay. And we have to remember that our parenting skills are deepened when we are able to handle our own emotions. We can't expect our children to be able to handle their own emotions and behavior when we don't know how to handle ourselves. So what does it mean? We have to exercise or to practice self-control. Because it is when we model it to our children that they know how. They don't get it when we just tell them. We need to model it to them. So the question now is, do I often react or respond? And how we respond is a skill that we need to learn, because growing up, we just copied what we observed from our parents without us knowing it. So our children also get to internalize what we show them. So when we say, don't follow what I do, it won't work because they just internalize what they are seeing and experiencing every day. So what does it mean? We have to learn to master how to control our emotions, how to control ourselves so that we can come from a place of love. And it is when we really connect with the heart that real communication takes place. It doesn't have to be with words, but just sitting down together, watching Netflix, for example, and just doing things together without really verbally communicating. That tells a lot, that communicates a lot, that we really care for each other. And there is such a thing as emotional contagion. More than the modeling, it is how we feel that we affect each other. So we are just like viruses for each other. We infect each other in a positive or negative way. So what kind of virus are you spreading? Is it a virus of compassion and kindness or the opposite? So we have to learn how to respond, emotional contagion or social contagion. And we just spread it. We can spread it. So be the one who is infectious when it comes to loving, when it comes to showing compassion, when it comes to really understanding people from where they are, and that will give them a safe space, that will communicate to them that it is okay to be just who they are. Okay. And like I said, there is this connection between why communication is important, why connecting is important, because communication is just like the backbone of any relationship. If there's no communication, there is no relationship. Even if you are together in one household, but if you are not communicating, then there is no relationship. There is hardly any relationship. And communication happens in many ways. You can communicate verbally, you can communicate non-verbally through your body language, and you can also communicate symbolically. So, and which of these forms of communication convey the most? Is it the verbal, the nonverbal, or the symbols that we use? And according to research, it's verbal is just a small portion of the entire communication thing. But what is the most effective way to communicate is through our body language. Body language. So even just with a smile, a hug, and just communicating with your looks, with your eyes, then people will get it. They can sense it because that's how the heart communicates, through the body. And it has to be in sync with what we say verbally. Okay. And in communication, we make sure that it is two-way. So in nagging, it's just one way. And people, when we nag, they don't actually listen. So all the more that we get frustrated. And we know that it's not helping, but why are we still continuing it? Okay? Lack of communication ruins everything because instead of knowing how the other person is feeling, we just assume. So stop assuming, ask and clarify. Communication is lifeline of any relationship. And when you stop communicating, you start losing your valuable relationships. Communication to a relationship is just like oxygen to life. Without it, it dies. So we learn to communicate effectively through the heart. We make sure that the words that we utter is in sync. They are in sync with our actions. And as they say, actions speak louder than words. So it's our nonverbal. So then, since we don't have a degree in parenting, what does it take to be a parent? What does it take? It requires a certain level of maturity, a mature attitude, and maybe some psychology of human behavior, of developmental of human development, some intuition, and a willingness to learn more whenever it is needed. And if you have more than one children, the kind of parenting that you did for the first child may no longer be applicable to the next child, and so on and so forth. So what does it mean? We have to constantly update our skills in parenting. It's just like upgrading our skills in our careers, in our jobs, right? So what about parenting? So it does not just come with instinct. More than that, especially with the kind of problems that we all experience, we really have to learn the science of parenting, maybe. So that's why we are here now to somehow, hopefully, we, through this conversation and through this information, we are reminded of our most important role as a human being, that is, as a parent. Like I said, we don't have to be a biological parent to parent children. We can be a parent to our nieces and nephews, and even to children who are not biologically connected to us. Okay, so parents are the people makers for the next generation, and that's a tough job. We have the power to change our community for the better, and it all starts with changing ourselves, changing the way we deal with each other, we relate with each other, we connect with each other at home. And because we have this huge opportunity, and it's really a privilege, we have this opportunity to pass down healthy parenting practices. Remember, we usually parent the way we were parented. And when we realize that the way we were parented, we want to, if you could just turn back the time, we wanted our parents to be different. And this time, maybe the same message is we are getting from our children. So we take this opportunity as really a time for us to prepare the next generation. So this is a wonderful opportunity for us to pass down healthy parenting practices. And it does not just require instinct, but really learn skills and a level of awareness and interest and commitment. So what does commitment mean? It is really about making sure that the way we parent our children have some positive effects. And because parenting is a process, it's a learning process. When we are not getting the kind of behavior or results that we want to see in our children, what is the feedback? The feedback is, or the message is, change strategies, because the old action, the reaction is no longer working. And as parents, we are all called to be a role model for our children. And if we treat parenting as a job, it is the most challenging job there is. What is our description? Parenting is a sacred responsibility. And we remind ourselves that actions speak louder than words. And teaching and learning, parenting is just like learning, becoming a teacher, because it's really about when we teach, we are at the same time learning. Our children don't just learn from us. It's actually a two-way process. We learn a lot about ourselves when we parent our children. So it's not at all a one-way process. It's a two-way process. We learn from each other. We learn from our relationships in general. Know yourself. How much can you handle? And stay educated. We have to be steps ahead, not just a step ahead. And when we feel frustrated, when we know that we can't handle it anymore, acknowledge that and be open to seek help from others. And we need to remind ourselves that discipline, gentle and positive kind of discipline, allows children to know boundaries. So how do they know? Through our modeling. And they feel safe when we model it to them, when we communicate to them that it is safe to just be themselves. And there is always a room for improvement, and it's allowing them to explore, to experiment, but within boundaries. And I'd like to highlight again these three things. Actions speak louder than words. So we better have to be careful with what we show them through our body language, less words. And by teaching, we have to learn first so that we can teach something. So that it's a teaching learning process when we parent. And first of all, we can be doing all these job descriptions if we don't know ourselves. So very basic is to know ourselves. How much can we handle? Knowing ourselves also means that how can I release these unpleasant, unwanted emotions, my frustrations? Because unpleasant, unwanted emotions don't have to stay there. Emotions are information. They can tell us what to let go, what to retain, and what to do next. So treat emotions as powerful information, teaching us what to do with where we are. Like if you feel frustrated, what to do. You don't remain getting stuck or feeling stuck. The message is get out of stuckness by releasing unpleasant, unwanted emotions. They don't have to stay with you. Okay. So the question now is, are we able to handle ourselves, our emotions, our actions? Do we get to choose what to think, how to feel, and how to behave? Because these are the same expectations that we want our children from our children also. So the message is mastering ourselves. It is really all about self-mastery. And number one to master is really our emotions, our reactions. No one is responsible for your emotional reactions except you. It's not because our children misbehave. Know that when children misbehave, they need the most love. And because they don't know how to ask for it, they can't verbalize it, they show it through misbehavior. And when we allow ourselves to be influenced by how they behave, we are disempowering ourselves. And we don't teach our children to empower themselves as well. So take it as it is and respond instead of react. When we respond, what do I need to know? What do I need to do to be able to pacify this situation? So it is always within your power to change the scenario. You can't expect people to change, but you can always expect yourself on how to handle your emotions and what to do with the situation. Others can say and do anything they like, but what happens inside you is only the result of what you are thinking and feeling. And remember that you're the only ones thinking in your head. You're the only ones feeling your emotions and doing your actions. And if you're not able to control it, others will. And that is when you allow those frustrating scenarios to disempower you, to affect you in a negative way, and you feel so heavy, you feel like exploding, and it's not a good space to be in. So acknowledge that you get frustrated, but you don't have to stay there. The challenge really is choosing, do I want to stay here in this unpleasant, unwanted state where I feel these overwhelming emotions, I feel so stressed and I feel burned out, or can I get out from this? You can, by doing things differently and experiment on what works. Remember, we don't react, but we respond to situations. This is a new situation, although they are similar to what happened yesterday, but this is a different time and I can do something about it. So self-mastery means mastering your thoughts, mastering your emotions, and mastering your actions. And if there's a subject that we want that is encompassing, it all boils down to self-mastery, regardless of whether you want to be a parent or you want to be a manager, you want to be a banker or whatever. It all boils down to self-mastery. And according to Lao Tzu, mastering others is strength, mastering yourself is where your true power lies. Okay. And remember that parenting is both a role and a choice. And for some, parenting is by chance. So hopefully, even if it started as parenting as by chance, now we are choosing to really become parents, whether we are biological parents or real parents in the real sense of the word. Remember also that the attitude you have as a parent is what your children will learn from more than what you tell them. They don't remember what you try to teach them. They remember what you are. From Jim Henson. What a reminder. And more than what we say, it is who we are and what we do that ultimately will have greater impact on our children. And let me end this presentation with this poster that I got from Facebook from Soul Sensitive. This hit home for me. Please read with me. When a flashlight grows dim or quits working, do you just throw it away? Of course not. You change the batteries. When a person messes up or finds themselves in a dark place, do you cast them aside? Of course not. You help them change their batteries. Some need AA, attention and affection. Some need triple A's, attention, affection, and acceptance. Some need C, compassion. Some need D, direction. And if they still don't seem to shine, simply sit with them quietly and share your life. And that is far more powerful than talking to them. So let us continue to be a light for our children so that they can also shine their light for others. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day. Enjoy the most important job in the world, parenting. All the best, everyone.
On a new adventure.
Work is important to our well-being. Not only does it bring us income, but the workplace can give us the opportunity to feel productive and can be good for our self-esteem. When we are mentally healthy, we are better able to work productively. But when we are struggling with our mental health, it can have a big impact on our ability to work and relate to others in the workplace. On the other hand, work can also have a negative impact on our mental health. For instance, overwhelming amounts of work-related stress can lower our productivity and increase short and long-term absences. When a mental health condition is affecting our work, it's common for people to feel ashamed, worry about their absence being an issue, and even worry about getting fired. Let's look at two examples. Meet Layla. Lately, she's been coming in late for work and feeling overly tired. At work, she's had difficulty focusing and concentrating. She's been forgetting appointments and not finishing assignments on time. She has started to believe that she is incompetent. Gabriel's attendance at work has been sporadic. People notice that his appearance has changed. He's looking more disheveled and losing weight. He's been making impulsive decisions and has had unusual ideas and behaviors. He's also more easily angered and frustrated at work. Gabriel has been starting to think that he's being singled out or targeted. What do you think might really be going on? If you are thinking that these could be early warning signs of mental health issues, you're correct. Layla and Gabriel should reach out for support outside and within their workplace. What can your workplace do to support you? If a mental health condition is starting to affect your work, you and your manager can work together to try to find a reasonable accommodation so you can still perform the essential duties of your job. The following video shares strategies for those experiencing mental health issues or other difficulties at work. Here, you will learn how to coach up so that your supervisor or others can better understand how to be supportive at work.
I've had the privilege of working through it with a lot of people in the workplace, and many of them talk about the fact that their supervisor may not be as supportive as they'd like. And one of the things that I now understand is that most supervisors really don't know how to help. They've never been given the training, they don't understand. So what my suggestion is today is to coach up, which means to help your supervisor to learn how to help you. And there's 3 things in particular that you can do. The first one is help them to understand how they can support you in being successful in your job. They may never understand really what you're going through, but they can understand a directive like, if you put my instructions in writing, then I won't get confused. If you remind me about upcoming deadlines, then I'll be much more likely to be able to follow through. If you choose not to raise your voice when you're speaking to me, I will be able to respond better to you. Things like that that really are focused on you being a good employee, but also are directives to your supervisor to help you. The second thing that I'd recommend is that for yourself, think about what it is that helps you to be well at work. For some people, it means actually taking a break once in a while. You know, you have breaks that are worked into your schedule, but a lot of people keep plowing through. Take that break, go for a walk, be able to clear your mind. It may mean that you have to stop multitasking, that you should focus on one thing at a time and get it done and completed before you go on to something else. It could be something as simple as maybe fluorescent lights are distracting to you or a strain on you and asking that they be turned off and getting a lamp in your room. Think about what's useful for you, what you'll commit to, what you'll do differently in order to get along in the workplace in a way that's more successful but also healthier for you. And then the third idea is to really be able to say to your boss, if you think that I'm doing something wrong, here's a way you can tell me that I'll be able to hear you and I won't end up being triggered or feeling unduly criticized. Some people will say, I don't like to be criticized in front of my peers. If you could give me feedback in a private place rather than in a public place. Some people will say, if I start to talk really fast, that may be a sign that I'm not well, and I'd like you to ask me to say something like, you don't seem to be yourself today, is there something that I can do? The point of all this is to understand that most people in the workplace don't know how to properly help you. Only you know what's going to work for you, and by you sharing these things with the people around you, you can make their life easier while you certainly improve your working situation.
On a new adventure.
I have no place in this world anymore. Worst things in life keep on coming to me. How should I end this agony? Behind my smiles are the ugly lies that everything is fine. I hope I could breathe from these heavy feelings. I need to break the chains. I need to escape. This is the only way.
Know that you deserve all of the love, happiness, and a fulfilling life. Keep fighting for your dreams and know that you deserve to be here.
You are capable of overcoming any challenges. Keep pushing forward.
Don't give up. You have so much to live for.
You are worth fighting for. Your life is valuable and precious.
Trust yourself and lean on your support system. You are not alone.
There is help.
It's okay not to be okay. You are enough.
You are loved and appreciated. Know that there is always hope for a better future.
The summer sunshine upon that house among the treetops. We felt the warmth within the wind and never thought.
Hello everyone, how are you? I hope you are doing and feeling well. If not, I hope you remember that better days are coming. I know there are times when you feel like the whole world is against you or like everything is just so dark and you feel like you're all alone, but you're not. And so, please remember what Maya Angelou said. No matter what happens or how bad it seems today, life does go on and it will be better tomorrow. Yes, tomorrow the sun will rise again. There is hope and there is light that shines for you to see and feel the warmth. Though sometimes you may not feel or see it, but someone genuinely cares for you. You matter, you are valued, and you are loved. With this, I'd like to share to you the lines from the song that I wrote last year. It's called Hinay Hinay, and so the lines are this. Laban lang, hilak lang, pangandoy dili dapat pasagdan, kahayag o tropang musubang, dalan usab nga malamdagan sa kinabuhi, kinahanglan pod ang ulan. Also, I fervently hope that you will have the courage within you to see the silver lining in everything. As what Seneca said, even to live is an act of courage. So, padayon lang og laban.
It shines upon.
We listen. We care. We serve with a purpose.
With a purpose.
On a new adventure.
Anxiety o depressive symptoms, problema sa pamilya, problema sa academics o pag-aaral, at sa pag-ibig o relasyon.
Kahoy na, di na ko kasabot, grabe nagyod kagoon. Nindokhan ko sa maran, nagsabot ang bao o karaan. Ang mga kaagi, grabe naman yun ni hasta kabait, walay masabi. Sa pag-inusarala ay ibating sakit, maunokso, ihapon sa pagbunit, tinalabanan ang init, apan gapuntog ng ugalit. Lulubad ko sa pagtuong mahura, ihapon ang mga damgo, sinunod ka mo yung mismo dugo, ang nagkiling natin ako, dinahumot ko. Padayon lang sa mga tika, bahala ginahin na lang, basta kanunay lang, uhon ako rapon mahayahay, magkadagang tamras sa libay.
Laban lang, hilak lang, pangandoy di dapat pasagdan, kahayag o trupang musubang, dalan usab nga malamdagan, sa kinabuhi, kinahanglan pod ang ulan.
on a new adventure.
You may call us through our telephone number 227-8192, local 205. You can also send us a message through our mobile number 0908-866-9475. You can send us an email at uagc@usep.edu.ph or message us at our Facebook page at USEP UAGC.